Hey everybody, so we're entering week 3. This is day 1. Out going for a walk because I'm clearing my thoughts. Healthy mind, healthy body. I'm not going to drop and do any push-ups, pull-ups, all that kind of stuff. We're not starting it off this way. This is actually going to be a much longer video than the other 2 weeks because some really important information, because a lot of people question something else we said in another video. But in answering those questions, this is very important stuff, like how to change your mindset to become more successful, which is going to be huge going through a recession. Knowing the way to look at a situation instead of, if let's say you're in the 5-figure group, learn how to think like a 6-figure or 7-figure person, because the knowledge in how to do that is what's going to change your mind or make you look at things a little differently when situations are encountered by you. So I'll stop talking here. Let's get into that video and we'll finish it off with my weekly weigh-in so you know what that progress looks like. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the chats that we have on our channel about finances and getting ahead in the world and real talk, as opposed to just conspiracies and the way people think the world works. This is going to be a perspective video. So I don't know the best way to get into this. Everybody has this view on the world based on who they talk to and where they get their information from. That whole, your network is your net worth kind of thing. That does make sense as long as you understand why. What we're going to use this for is to explain the differences between how different incomes talk and think, and that's what gets them further ahead. Because if you just sit around your group of people, what's the saying? You are the average of your 5 closest friends in your group. And that's true. If all your friends are 5-figure people, they're going to talk like 5-figure people, and you're probably going to stick in that 5-figure group. We get asked a lot, how do we think differently? How do I get outside of what I already know? Well, obviously, if you're talking income-wise, you're going to have to hang around with people in the 6, 7, and 8-figure group. And that's important because they don't talk the same. A lot of people say, oh, those people just talk about money. It's so pretentious, it's this, it's that. But the reality is, what does the 5-figure groups talk about? Now, get offended if you want. I'm just going to state a generalization. It's not everybody. There's always going to be exceptions. We're not talking about the exception. We're talking about the majority. Let's say you got a table of 5-figure people in a restaurant. There's 6 of them there. What are they going to talk about? And let's be completely honest. If it's a table full of guys, they're going to talk about what girls they're trying to smash, how up they're going to get on the weekend. They're going to brag about cars that they're financing, or things that they don't actually own. If it's a table full of women, they're going to talk about gossip. Oh, did you see what so-and-so's wearing? She's such a slut. Or have you heard that so-and-so broke up? Or have you watched this on TV? Get mad at me for saying it. Go ahead. But I think for the majority, you know that I'm not lying. And tell me how that is going to get you ahead. If you know that you're going to be the average intelligence, average income of everything that's done and said in your group, maybe that's why you're not progressing. If you want to, if you just want to be average, no one's saying there's anything wrong with mediocrity. That's okay. But if you're wondering why you're not advancing, let's look at what happens when, the 6-figure and then the 7 and 8-figure tables get together and what they discuss. So let's start with an example on the 5-figure table. When you're talking about all that gossip and let's say crap, because it's not really building anything, you get that one person out of 6, because that's usually the ratio, who starts talking maybe a little more forward than everybody else in the group. Everybody else is talking about, let's, there's this package. We can go to Mexico, all inclusive, $1,200. Let's do that. And everybody's like, yeah, let's go get messed up in Mexico. Let's go get drunk out of our tree. Let's go play in some pool somewhere. And everybody agrees it's a good price, so let's jump on it. Because YOLO, we got to do this now. We're living while we're young. And you got that one person who will always say, what, I don't want to do that because I'd have to put it on my credit card, or I use my money because what I like to do is save up 20 or 30 grand a year and put it against my mortgage. And half of the rest of their group is going to say, oh, don't do that, man. You got your whole life to pay for that stuff. Right now, you got to have fun while you're young. Because it's an excuse why they're taking a shot at something above where they usually think. So 2 of them will be jealous that you're able to do that. 2 of them think that you're probably right, but they don't want to work towards something or have to save that 20 or 30 grand. And then there's usually one person who actually agrees with you, but they're not going to open their mouth because they're worried about being shunned by the group and not getting in on this fun. But they'll ask, why? How are you able to put 20 or 30 grand away? To a five-figure person, that sounds impressive. Maybe it's because you got a dual income house, so you make a little extra money, or you just don't spend every dime that you don't need to. So when you're talking, you would say, oh, I like to put 20, 30 grand against my mortgage. I've got an escalated mortgage plan. I'm going to have my house paid off in 8 to 10 years. So at your table, you are the smartest person at that table. And I'm not critiquing that. To that table, that sounded like the smartest way to get ahead. Wow, you're going to have a house paid off in 2.5 times faster than the average 25 or 30-year mortgage. That sounded intelligent to that group of people. Not calling them stupid, based on what they talk about, that sounded intelligent. Let's hop over to the 6-figure table. 6-figure table is looking at you saying, they actually don't care. I'm just saying, same scenario, they're not going to interrupt your conversation. 6-figure table is going to say, do you hear what these guys are saying? This one person who's at the top of their group is talking about generating $20,000 to $30,000 a year that they're going to put against their mortgage. Let's do the math on that from a 6-figure perspective. $30,000. Let's say your mortgage is at 3%. $30,000 put against your mortgage to escalate the payments and paying it off quicker means you're saving yourself $900 a year worth of interest payments. A 6-figure entrepreneur or someone who understands how to do things with their money is going to say, well, you should have put that somewhere where you're going to make 20%. You didn't have to go out and make more than 30 to do this. It's the same 30 you're saying you already have. So for them, they're seeing 30 grand. They're saying you should have put it somewhere that would make you 20%. That's $6,000. Your table thinks that paying off your mortgage quicker made sense. One table over with a different perspective said your money should have generated 6 grand, but instead you saved 900. You should be 5,100 in the plus every year. So if you're escalating it, and this is over 8 or 10 years, you should have 10 or 10 every second year. You have another 10 grand to do something with. Over the course of 10 years, you have like $50,000 or $60,000, and if it was invested properly, it's also growing in compound. So 6-figure table versus 5-figure table, just a different way of looking at the exact same chunk of money. These people are going to be way ahead. They can actually pay for their mortgage by investing that extra money, and the mortgage is now free. You're kind of getting what I'm saying here. Hop over to the 7 and 8-figure table, and this is the funny one. They look at the 6-figure table, all thinking that they got the world figured out, and they got one word or one phrase. You guys only make 20% on your money? You can hate me for having gone through this. That's just perspective. That's the difference when you rub shoulders with the right people. You change your mindset. You use your time. It doesn't mean you leave your 5-figure friends behind, because they're still your friends. But if you need to learn more, you have to level up. I know that term is used all the time, but let's be honest. You're going to have to think like a 6-figure person does. And you can't do that when your average friends are in the 5-figure. They're still your friends, but you need to evolve. Get involved with learning how the next income bracket up thinks. Not what they do. It doesn't matter what they do. When you understand how they approach a situation, just like I use those 3 tables as an example, money making it, because you don't actually make money, you take money. No one makes money. The government makes money. You try making money, they're throwing your ass in jail. You have to get up and understand how you're going to take money more efficiently than you were doing before. Are you going to trade your time for it, or are you going to invest for it? Because then you're taking it from many sources. And then when you're done in that group, you start meeting people in the 7 and 8-figure group, and they're going to blow your mind. And trust me, the wealthy don't need to steal from the poor. That cliche, the rich get rich by stealing from the poor. No, they don't. What do the rich steal from the poor? You just said they were poor. What do they have to steal? So get that out of your head, because Your governments and leaders, they're causing this separation in the classes, and there's a reason they're doing that. They want you to believe that the wealthy don't pay their taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. That's that. Oh, but there's loopholes. There's no such thing as a loophole. Every country has, we're in Canada. The government writes a book this thick called the Canadian Tax Code. It tells you how to efficiently keep as much of your money in your account as possible. You could read that, or you could read propaganda all over social media that says the rich don't pay their taxes. No, they either read the book themselves or hired someone who did. They're just making use of everything that you have too, but you didn't take the time to just get educated. You see how every process here has nothing to do with money? It's knowledge. So I'm telling you right now, if you take nothing else from this, you can hate me for saying what I've said, or be like, oh, all these tables are judging each other. They're actually not. I just proposed a scenario and then put 3 different income groups into that scenario. That's all I did. So you get an understanding, a surface understanding of how each different income bracket looks at the same scenario. The people actually don't judge each other, because I'll tell you right now, a billionaire, or in fact your government, doesn't care about you individually. No one's judging you. The only person judging you is you. You're the only one that puts a ceiling on your life. Oh, that's too grand for me. That's too big for me. I can't accomplish that. You said that, not someone else. Because almost everyone I know that's above a 7-figure tax bracket or net worth earned it. And they started from families who were just average. I'm an example. I can show you where I grew up. 3 boys with a single mom, living on less than 20 grand in the 80s. Yeah, I'm old, but I'm okay with being transparent about it. It's not because I want you to say, oh, his story is amazing. It's actually not. I was born in Canada. I have nothing but that privilege that people talk about. I didn't have, other than the ceilings and caps I put on myself, yeah, I didn't start with money, but that doesn't mean I can't acquire it. So stop listening to people that want to divide you. Your governments are trying to divide you right now because they want to start implementing these wealth taxes and stuff like that. So the more that you believe that the wealthy don't pay tax, you're going to vote them to go after the wealthy. Let me tell you something. That never works. That's how they implemented originally. And this isn't me saying it because I don't want to pay more taxes. I know how to work the tax system because of smarter people than me. They taught me how. It's not illegal. It's in that book I told you about. They start with the wealthy because 90% of people fall into median income tax brackets. So when they say we're going to go make the wealthy pay their fair share, you don't actually know what that means, but you're like, yeah, damn right. Let's get them to pay what they owe and this country will be better. The reality is the rich they didn't get rich by just forking over shitloads of money. You're going to force them out of your countries, and guess what? They employ the country. So when they leave because someone's personally attacking them, so does the country's assets, which are you, the employees. They leave, or they sell their company to a foreign investor whose first thing is, yeah, we want their intellectual property, we want their goods, but we don't need you as the employee. So you all get laid off. That's the reality. But that wasn't even the government's plan in the first place. Look at income tax. Income tax was, we need the wealthy to contribute to the country so we can get through the war. We're going to eliminate it after we've generated this income on taxation of it. Well, that was 80-something years ago. Pretty sure we're all still paying income tax, but guess what? Now it's everybody. So it starts up here, then it moves down to the slightly lower bracket, and it filters all the way down. So if you believe that going after the rich is going to take anything more from the rich, it's not. It's an excuse to start taxation, which will filter down to you. And trust me, new taxation rules will hurt the middle class more than it'll hurt the upper. And they don't even apply taxes to the very lowest bond. Like, there have to be a certain amount you have to make before you're even taxed. They're never going to be taxed. So understand, the majority who makes up the voting majority to vote politicians in, they're the ones who are going to eat this. But the plan is for 5-6 years from now. Right now, they're telling you they're only going after the wealthy. So you can write this off, leave comments, and tell me that I'm full of shit. But I'm just here to tell you how history has repeated itself. If you're in Canada, do you remember something called the GST? Probably, because it's still here. Do you remember when it was introduced? They said this would be a couple of years to get us out of this debt that we're in. It actually went up in a few provinces. It's settled back down, but it's definitely not gone. That was when I was just getting into double-digit age. So, did we forget that we were promised it would go away? Anyways, I'm done with this rant. This was only supposed to be 3-4 minutes. But this is just information I want people to look at before you just, flood into the propaganda machine that you're being forced to hate someone else. On the last video, we were like, oh, it sounds like you're just bitter. You're just worried that your trust fund's going to run out if more taxation comes out of the wealthy. My mom made 16,000 Canadian dollars in the 80s, raising 3 boys. For you in the Americas, that is, at that time, exchange was made at about 11,000 US dollars. Yes, inflation's gone up, everything's gone up. She raised 3 boys on 11,000 US. Don't tell me I got a trust fund coming. I take care of her now, because that's my job to do it. She gave up everything to have boys. That was her investment into life. So don't judge everyone you see with a little bit of money and say it was easy for them. Do you see a ring? No. Do you see, I don't have kids. These are sacrifices that you don't know about when you think you're jumping into their situation and saying, it's easy for them. No, it actually isn't. You have to give up everything. For the most part, the people in those 7, 8, and 9-figure net worths, they've given up so much to get there. And they still keep giving. All the charities that you hold dear, it's great that you give them $25 a month and you're like, oh, I'm such a philanthropist, I'm this and I'm that. Every charity that you hold dear exists because of wealthy philanthropists, benefactors, but they don't want people to know. They sign off on NDAs. Here's 100,000, here's $1 million. That's how that charity survives. So just because you don't see it on social media doesn't mean it's not done. So this whole rich people give nothing back, careful before you say that. They've given up their lives to get there. Most of them divorced 2, 3, 4 times by the time they're in their 50s. Please don't judge people until you know you're there. I'm not judging you. I don't care where on that spectrum you are. I just want you to do better. But that's going to start with a different viewpoint of how you look at everything when you get up in the morning and how you look at the world. Are you quickly getting on your phone and reading social media stuff that's altered and taking one little clip from a whole paragraph and look what this person's doing, look who this person hates, look what they're doing on this propaganda machine? Is that the first thing you do, or do you get up and appreciate being alive and then look outside and say, where's that opportunity to take more money for a better future for myself and my family? Not take it from somebody else like you took their portion. A lot of people think there's a finite amount of finances in the world. Like, for me to get a sip, I take a sip, there's a sip for someone else. The only way for me to get a second sip is to take that person's. No. Stop thinking like a 5-figure person. You don't need to take someone's job to do better. This is what separates, your 5 figures from your 7, 8, 9. The groups over here, they work together because it's easier. Billionaires don't compete with each other. They work together because they know what it costs to, let's say they're going to come up with a competing product. No, that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to develop and then market against someone who's already doing it properly. Look at Armand de Brignac and Jay-Z with Ace of Spades. They became so big in just a couple years that Dom Perignon, the brand Dom Perignon, held by LVMH, the richest family in the world, the Arnault family, Ace of Spades took such a dent out of their profits within a couple of years that the Arnault family, they didn't come up with another product to compete with it. Bernard Arnault opened up a checkbook and said, write a number on here. I want half of everything you have in the world. That's how a billionaire does it. Now they own half of the inventory, and Jay-Z is an even bigger billionaire. That's how it's done. Collaborations, affiliations, and recognition. Not by stealing something from someone. Understand that. You can leave your comments down below. We're going to read them and respond to them, positive, negative, or just neutral. We want to hear what you have to say because you know what? We'll let you take the time to have that intellectual conversation. I know I already said I was going to stop this discussion 5 minutes ago. We're stopping now. Let us know what you think, and if we have to make another video based off of the responses here, we will. We got nothing but time. We're retired. Yeah, we make jokes, but that's what we do. Right now, we basically go around educating people for free alongside of everything else that we do. Getting back, when I say retired, it doesn't mean we don't do anything. We just own the day. We can get up at 10 o'clock in the morning and come do this for you because it doesn't affect our income. We'll go do some charity work after this because we don't need the money that time would generate. But again, here we go, ranting on. I'll leave it for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you at least found it entertaining. If there's something you want us to cover, you know how to comment. For now, I'm Chris. I'm out. Thanks for listening. Weigh-in day, Sunday, July 10th, start of week 3, day 1. 214.8.